The thing I'd like to say is that Leslie Ott is here today. Leslie Welsh, Leslie Ott Welsh,
Walsh.
Walsh, thank you. Um, and she's going to talk about her father, Lynn Ott, whom so many of us love and know. And what I'd like to also ask is that we let Leslie speak, and then we'll have time for some people to have some shares about Lynn. We do ask that you raise your hand digitally, and we do that by hitting Alt Y on a PC or Option Y on a Mac, or there's a little reaction bottom at the bottom of the screen, a little reaction button. You can click that, and there's a hand raise function, so you can raise your hand there. In order to view, there's a little view button up at the top right of your screen. If you click that, you can go to speaker view and just look at Leslie, or you can go to the gallery view and see all this broken down furniture of Maribaba's. So we're glad you're here today, and very excited to have some time spending love talking about someone that all of us, a lot of us, he had great impact on our lives. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Leslie, and say Jibba.
Okay, thanks, Ruth. Good morning. Namaste. Um, Chris, my brother, was supposed to do this program, but he wasn't feeling too well, so I took over for him. So I hope I can do as good a job as Chris. I just first like tell you a little bit about my father's history real quick. He wrote a whole big autobiography called Journey Out of Darkness. He was born with a eye disease called retinitis pigmentosa, and he went completely blind by the time he was 50. And unfortunately, I inherited it, and I went totally blind in this eye and have limited field of vision in this eye. And both my sons have it, unfortunately. It's just very, very hereditary. We have the X-linked kind. So that's all science. I don't want to go into that. That'll just bore you. But the reason why the girl, got it and why my sons got it. But anyway, it's on the X chromosome, long story short. Then his father was the vice president of the W.T. Grant Company. It was a department store. Tom Riley sometimes says J.C. Penney, which is close, but it was kind of like that. So anyway, I won't tell you his whole life or anything, but in the 50s, he was actually married before he was married to my mother. In the 1950s, he was an artist. He went to art school, Rhode Island School of Design. His parents were kind of not too enthusiastic about him going to art school because he had an eye disease but he was so talented. He drew this picture of Winston Churchill, pencil drawing. It was so amazing, when he was before art school even. He was just really, really good artist. So he graduated from Rhode Island School of Design. Anyway, so I'm just going to go up to the point where he moved to Woodstock with his first wife, Beth. They didn't have any children. And he met the father of her. We have two half sisters that are older because Phyllis Ott was married before Aunt too, but she had two little girls. And he met her husband, Buddy Seif, who was a beatnik, when he and Beth went to buy lumber to make frames or stretchers for paintings. And his father had bought him this big church house in Woodstock. And it was really beautiful. Anyway, my father said he never heard anybody talk like Buddy Seif, like, you dig, man, like a beat, like he never heard. My father was very straight-laced, never heard anybody talk like that. It was like 1950 something. So anyway, long story short, Lynn and Phyllis got together and she left Buddy for him, and she moved in with him with her kids. And then they had Chris. Chris was born in Kingston, New York. They were elated because he was a boy, and then they took a ship to Mexico, decided they wanted to live in Mexico. And while they were in Mexico, I was conceived and born. And then just a few weeks after I was born, they decided to move back to Woodstock, where their church house was, my dad's house. And my father started getting homesick for the United States. And the only reason I got a naturalization card is because when they were crossing, they drove back, they bought a bus. Dad couldn't drive, so mom drove the VW bus back all the way from Mexico to New York State over the mountains. And then they went through Border Patrol and they said, "Did I hear a baby cry?" And they said, "Yeah." And they said, "Was the baby born in Mexico?" And they said, "Yeah." And so they said, "She needs a naturalization card." I don't know if they asked to see my birth certificate, because if not, then they could have just kidnapped a baby and taken him over the border, which isn't funny. But I mean, if that were true, I mean, I don't know. All I know is that that's what happened with them. So they went back to Woodstock, and I have some memories of that. And they met the Rileys, Tom and Yvonne Riley. First Yvonne, because she was a physical therapist, and my dad had a back problem, and she came over and she told them about Baba. So then they met Tom, and then they kind of fell in love with Tom and Yvonne. You know how people sometimes couples get a couple crush kind of thing, or it's like where you can't stand to see anybody but these particular people. So, and basically their relationship, Tom had already, and Yvonne had already met Baba. And so, you know, they basically, I don't know why, but my father believed in it right away. I mean, so my mother went to India the first time. She felt, I don't know really what it was about, but I think she felt like she was suffering somehow, and that she desperately needed to meet Meher Baba. So Meher Baba was in seclusion, so she took off. She didn't even care. She went to all the way to India. It wasn't common for a Western woman to, in 1963, to travel all by herself to India and everything. And she met some Australian women who were kind of doing the same thing on the trip. And I think she met Audie, Baba's brother or something, and Dara, who also had, Meher Baba's nephew has retinitis pigmentosa. That's why he's blind. But fortunately, his kids, he didn't carry it to his kids for some reason. And he doesn't even know where he got it. So anyway, she said, "Well, why, I'm not going to make it about her." Phyllis is still a wonderful person and a great artist in her own right, I want to say. And they really loved each other. I want to show you a picture I have. Hold on. It's my mom. I took care of my mom and by myself for quite some time, and with some help, and it got too much, and then she went to a nursing home. Ruth called when I was taking care of my mother. I remember my mother said, "We're really busy right now." You remember that? So anyway, I have my mother's handbag and purse and stuff. You know, I take care of her stuff. And I found in her big pocketbook, I found this picture and I framed it. Isn't that nice? It's Lynn and Phyllis when that's in Myrtle Beach. They were 40 when we moved here, so they must have been in their 40s in that picture.
So beautiful, Leslie. That's so beautiful.
Aren't they beautiful?
Yeah.
So anyway, so where was I? So Mayor Baba's Pult said, why didn't Lynn come? And she said something like, "Am I my brother's keeper?" Or something, you know, some, I don't know. She was kind of, what's the word from those women in the movies from the 50s that all talk so fresh, you know, like with the cigarette? And I don't know. But anyway, she said, "Well, it's very hard for him because has visually impaired, and it would be really hard for him to make the connections." And he said, "Is there any reason you can't bring him?" And she ended up doing that the next year. And my sister stayed with their father, who also lived in Woodstock, but Chris and I stayed with the Rileys. or they stayed with us. I don't remember which. All I know is they took care of us. And Yvonne died in an accident a few years ago, but she was really sweet. She was really sweet to us. I don't remember too well, but I know that she was very nurturing person. So anyway, then they went together the next year, and they went to meet them together. And then my father couldn't see very well, and Mayor Baba said, "Can you see my face?" And my father said, "Not very well." He was kind of apologetic. So then Mayor Baba had Monty, his sister, bring in this 100-watt light and put it on his face, and he was able to see him. And there's actually a movie. The center sometimes shows a movie of that, and all you can barely see my father's like profile. But Lynette Phyllis is there too at that point. Baba sent Phyllis to spend some time with Mara and Monty, and she ended up having a pretty close relationship with Mara. She, like a lot of women at the time, wasn't really interested in hanging around with women, and that's just the way women are. But it's different. It was different. Anybody who spent time around Mara knows how different it was. That it was kind of an enlightenment for women in a way. And so I can't remember all the conversation except that Mayor Baba said, like, "Did you shave this morning?" And he said, "Yes, Baba." And Baba said, "Not well, you didn't do a very good job." And he always spent a lot of time shaving after that. And Baba had him feel his face and how he shaved. He had a real smooth shave. And I guess my father had a 5 o'clock shadow. Even in that picture of him, you can see kind of has, it's 9 o'clock in the morning, believe it or not. They was time his interview, and he already had a 5 o'clock shadow. Obviously, he didn't shave too well. So anyway, and I think he said something like, "How is your painting going?" And Baba told him he should be proud of his art, and he said, "But isn't being proud ego?" And Baba said it wasn't. So anyway, they went back, and then my father started painting nothing but Mayor Baba. That was like his muse, and that was all he wanted to paint anymore. And like I said, my mother was an artist in her own right, but she often had to work outside the house, and she was also the sighted person in the family, so she had a lot of responsibility in terms of driving and things like that. It's a lot of work to take care of someone who has a disability. So anyway, there was a message went out that there was Mayor Baba wanted some families to move to the Mayor Baba Center. Well, the only people that took advantage of that were the Otts and the Haynes family. And Jane Haynes and her kids, who were teenagers at the time, Wendy and Charles, built their house at the same time my parents. Like, her house was going up like simultaneously. And Charles and Wendy were a lot older than me. I was only 4 when we moved to Myrtle Beach, and when we moved into our house, I was 5. And I went to the Horry County school system, rode the school bus. It was really horrible. It was all these like redneck kids that were really mean to me and threw spitballs at me and stuff, and paper at me, and called me a bitch and all whatever. I mean, it's not like I had a sheltered life because we lived at the center or something. So don't get that idea. Went through hell riding that school bus all those years. And but Mom got a job working for the welfare department as a caseworker in the 1960s, and there were white people, but it was mostly poor African Americans. I went with her sometimes, and they lived in like shacks and stuff. So we used to drive. They don't do it anymore, but in those days, caseworkers used to drive all over the county. And Dad even went with us one time. I mean, a couple times he came in the car. He just traveled right along with us. And he was a real like family man. And So at one point, my two sisters went to live with their father in Woodstock for some reason when they were teenagers. So then it was just Chris. I think I was 6 or 7, and it was right before the '69 Darshan, and then so it was Chris and me and my parents, and that was it. And it was we were pretty happy, and we had a pretty good life. Our home was very open to people. We almost always had company for dinner. People hang. Oh, Ruth, when I was kind of close to Bob Brown when I was a kid, and one time, and Bob and Ruth were pretty close, and one time they came through my bedroom window. It was so funny. And Bob gave me a turtle named Marwan. And anyway, he was like one of the people that was real close to my family. He lived with us for a while. Um, and so okay, so I think before that we went to the '69 Darshan. We went to Elizabeth and Kitty's house and heard that Mayor Baba passed away, so the whole family went to India to the Darshan. And the one that book, The Empty Chair, is about. And then well, Dad's eyesight got worse and worse. So then in 1976, when I was like 15 years old and he was like 50 years old, he went totally blind. So he went to the South Carolina Commission for the Blind, and he learned Braille, and he learned mobility and how to use a cane and all that kind of stuff. But I don't really know how much to tell, because my parents' marriage got kind of on shaky ground, sort of split up for a long time, got back together. I think they really loved each other, but they weren't like those kind of cookie cutout perfect kind of people. They were artists, and I guess they were pretty deep. I don't know. It's complicated. I don't know why. All I know is that he was a good provider, his trust fund ran out, but he had to go on complete disability and medicate. So his death was actually very tragic because it wasn't expected. He got hydrocephalus. I think it was from an car accident he was in with somebody, and then he started to have he had to have like 2 brain operations, and then he had a brain aneurysm. And I was in Charleston with him when he passed away. I stayed in his room the whole time. They took him off life support because there was no hope for quality of life. I mean, they consulted the family, and he was actually involved with Judy Gregory at the time. And so me and her were there, and a bunch of other people, but she and I spent the night in his room that night. And my mother called in like 5 o'clock in the morning, and she asked me if he was still alive. And I said, yeah, but I got up and checked, and the nurse came in and she said it won't be long. So Judy and I held his hands until he passed away, but till his heart, the very last heartbeat. The MUSC neurology department where he died was very compassionate. When they move somebody from intensive care to a regular room after they've taken off life support, the way, they talk to a person with so much like dignity and respect, like they'd say, Mr. Ott, we're moving you, and Mr. Ott, we're going to give you something for pain, or Mr. Ott, you have a fever. And it was really hard. I mean, he wasn't that old, and I kind of really lost it was a big loss for me, because he did offer a lot of support. for me, I mean, I don't mean financial, I just mean like somebody, when you know somebody's there for you and that person isn't. And it's really hard to talk about. So anyway, I'm gonna, at this point, I gotta get my guitar, so I'm gonna do a song that I wrote. uh so can you just take over for a minute, Ruth?
Oh, yes. Thank you. Thank you, Leslie. That was just beautiful. I appreciate your taking the time to talk about your parents and their life, your dad and his passing. It was beautiful. I'm just taking a look here. And Leslie, I'll ask Leslie when she comes back, Max, if she'll show that picture of Phyllis and Lynn again. Max had asked in the chat if she'd please show that photo again, so we'll do that. And yeah, I just want to say that I remember going over to the Otts one morning when I got to the center, and I don't even know how. I mean, I think Leslie was like, I don't know, you were just such a young little thing, and you said to me, "Do you want to hear the song I learned on the guitar, Ruth?" And I said, "Sure." I didn't even know you were playing guitar. And it just blew the top of my head off. It was so exquisite. I think it was Diamonds and Rust. And I just couldn't believe you could do that song. It was beautiful. So ever since
Oh,
then, I've been one of your biggest fans. You're just amazing. And I don't want to just blow you up so high that you're going to be pressured right now. But anyway, I'm just happy you're here today with your guitar, Leslie. So whenever you're ready.
okay. Thanks, Ruth. I used to be really sweet and innocent. That's what she's talking about, but not anymore. Now I'm like a horrible person. This song I wrote, it's him talking, him supposed to be his point of view, and he's talking to his master, Mayor Baba. And this is kind of the way he tells the whole story, kind of. I would do anything for a glimpse of your face. I would do anything for one sweet embrace. I would travel far to sit at your feet, and oh, I have longed for you I would meet. So please don't be indifferent to me. My wife went to see you 1 year before. I stayed with the children and I longed for you some more. My daughter sent a message to you. She was only 3. She said, tell him that I need him, and she did indeed. So please don't be indifferent to her. And then I lay dying. I was only in my 30s. A friend of ours cabled you, and the message said mercy. And then I got better, and my dream came true. 'Cause for me, you were the Messiah, and I got to see you. And you showed your love for me. I painted your face every day until my eyesight went away. I close the gate every night and I open it every day. So please don't be indifferent to me. And then I took my family to live at the center. I gave up everything I had to build a home there. But for my children, they surely have nothing. And my children have children, and they have nothing too. So please don't be indifferent to them. I would give anything for a glimpse of your face. I would give anything for one sweet embrace. I would travel far to sit at your feet, and all I have longed for you I would meet. So please don't be indifferent to me. Please don't be indifferent to me.
Ooh, wow. That was beautiful, Leslie.
So
Wow, very well.
so I guess we could open it up. Yeah, anybody that would like to share or ask a question or anything.
Well, I know Max Reef asked if you could hold that photograph up once again. He didn't quite see it.
Oh, it's right here.
Let's see, wait a minute. Okay. Cool. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Thank you.
Chris had a whole bunch of other photos all already, but he can show them at the Circle Center next week, and hopefully that'll be on Zoom too. So
Okay. And yeah, there's some hands up. I also pulled up some paintings of Lynn's from the internet that maybe we could just kind of look at together as well. But Max, did you have something else, honey, you wanted to share?
Yeah. Well, I wanted to say that was a deeply, deeply moving song, and so thank you for singing it for us. And then one question about the song: I didn't know that Lynn almost died in his 30s. Can you tell a little about that?
Yes, I that crossed my mind when I was singing the song, and then that's why I was paused. It was like there's something I forgot. After Mom came back from India, I won't tell you the whole soap opera story or the, air my family's dirty laundry or anything. But my father had bleeding ulcers, and he had to have he was in the hospital, and they thought he was going to die. I remember visiting him. It was really sad because it was he had to have blood transfusions. And Tom Riley, the friend, before I changed in the song, I had Tom Riley cabled you. That was the friend that cabled him. We used to have a family, I don't know where it is, but like an album of letters to and from Mayor Bava, and the one about moving to the center, all that, letters, to just, and they have a copy of Tom's cable, and it said, Lynott is dying. His only wish is to see you in the flesh. Mercy. And it was really dramatic because he wrote in huge letters, mercy, and underlined, and I changed it from Tom Riley to a friend of ours. I thought maybe it was a little personal, his name in the song,
Mhm.
but I don't know. It could be. But anyway, he did recover. He got better, and he did go. His
Mm.
wish was granted. It's
Mm.
weird because he went to India later in life. My parents were separated at the time. They both made a lot of trips to India. He went with some people, and he got bleeding ulcers that time
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
And that was like in 1989, 90 or something. And he had the pilgrims at the Pilgrim Center had to donate blood for him. I mean, I hope it was tested and all, but and he was in the hospital in Pune. Then they moved him to the hospital in Ahmednagar. And from what I heard about the story, there were like animals walking through the hospital, like goats, and you know how India is. But he just had a couple real serious episodes of bleeding ulcers.
Mhm.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Thanks, Leslie. And Max, were you there? Were you involved with some of the work with
Mm.
Lynn's painting? Did you?
No, I wasn't involved with it. Well, I met him and he was painting, and I bought a painting from him in 1971 for $50. And it was the most beautiful painting. I kept it near me for about 20 years, and now it's owned by Rafael Villafane in Mexico City. But I was involved later. Well, it's a funny story, and it's typical of Lynn, so I'll share it. I hitchhiked down to Myrtle Beach in 1981. One of the times I moved there, hoping to live there my whole life, and I was following the wind in my hometown in St. Louis, feeling Baba in the wind, just like Francis Brabazon did in Australia, and it led me to stick my thumb out on the Mississippi River Bridge. And I had this journey and ended up in Myrtle Beach. And I ran into Lynn one day in the original kitchen, and I was reading these poems to him that I'd written on the bus. I took part of it was a bus and part of it was hitchhiking to get there. And I read him this one page that it had one very short thing. It said, "The Lord of Hosts is also the Lord of Guests." And he laughed very hard at that. And he asked me if I would help him on a book he was writing. And so I had the great privilege, grace, I would call it. It makes it brings me tears 30 years later to go to the Otts nearly every morning for 8 months and work with him on this book. It was a novel he was writing about the artist Jan Vermeer, the Dutch artist from the 17th or 16th century. And it was just, I mean, it was just such a blessing. And sometime my parents came to visit once, and Phyllis laid this beautiful spread, and I just really felt like I was at the Lord's table with all the Lynn's gorgeous paintings all around. And it was just such a blessing. So I'm so happy that he lived as long as he did. I mean, he spread Baba's grace through so many of us. And I don't want to monopolize all the time, so I'm going to try to keep it short. I carry Lynn's published book as like a Bible. I mean, sometimes it's on a shelf in our house, but I frequently take it out. And I have a friend. I work at the Meher School in California, and the art teacher went to the Rhode Island School of Design. I just learned, and she's a great art teacher. And I don't know what she knows. She came to the school because of her kids. I don't know how much she knows about Baba, but I shared a story from Lynn's book with her about something that happened to him at the Rhode Island School of Design, hoping that she would connect with Baba. And I don't know if she did or not, but his book is like a Bible to me. And for anybody the slightest bit interested in art and Baba, it's a must. Although they never reprinted it, and Chris told me once it's a rare book now, and you can hardly get it. But it's a great, great book. I would wish his autobiography would be published too. I've read chapters of it, and it's also wonderful. Okay, Jay Baba. Thank you, Leslie.
Thanks, Max.
Well, that was wonderful. And it's so beautiful. I love the cover. Show the cover again, Max. What a fabulous painting. I mean, just, oh, aha. Yeah.
I'll show you. There's the photo of Lynn with Baba is in here.
Thanks.
There's and it was I
You have to
believe
hold down a
the
little.
story was that, huh?
Up a little.
Can you up a little? Can you see it now?
Yeah.
Perfect. That's
That's
just
what I was
perfect.
talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, the story I heard was that Louis Van Gasteren was there filming, and so just by God's grace, they had light so that Lynn could see Baba a little. They brought the light in, I mean, as Leslie said.
Oh, look at Baba's face. My God. Yeah, that's beautiful. That is just beautiful.
Yeah, and I mean, let me find, I'll show you my favorite painting. I mean, they're all, many of them are magnificent. This one we used to have, this is owned by Cynthia Shepard now, and our first Baba group in St. Louis, we used to have this giant picture called The Light in the Forest on the wall at our Baba meetings. And I recently stayed in Cynthia's place when she was in India in Myrtle Beach, and it was just wonderful. And I have, my favorite is called The Eternal Shepherd. I am monopolizing the time after I said I wouldn't.
You're not monopolizing.
Okay.
Thank you for
Here,
sharing.
I just love, this is called The Eternal Shepherd, and I think it's my favorite of all of them, at least the ones in the book. And all of these, except one I read, were done in 1976 when Lynn, he had to be like an inch away from the canvas to paint, and they're huge canvases. Okay, Jay Bob.
Jay Baba, yeah, was there a series called the Mountain Series, and that's one of them? Yeah.
I don't know. I know I've heard of the Mountain series. I don't know if that's one of them or not.
Well, when he was nearly blind, he had to use all kinds of devices to paint, lights. He had a visor to cut out. RP is kind of annoying because you don't have any both peripheral vision. So, the light, and your eyes are real light sensitive. So he would wear this thing to block out the lights. And then he had this, I think it's called a I'm sorry, I can't think of the word. You all probably know the word, consortium, where you have like a group of people that help you, like Rubens had certain people to paint the dogs or whatever. Well, I think it was Ralph Jackson helped him a lot. He was assistant to the family, and Ed Hobson, Jim Frasino did a lot of. And I remember one time Jim Meyer wanted to be an artist. I mean, he's a great singer, but I would just say that he's more a singer than a painter. And I say the same of myself, really. But he did a painting copied, I remember him painting with my father in the studio and doing the same painting on his own, because he was almost like a, like a mentor, kind of like an art mentor. But there was a lot of good memories. A lot of good memories from those days.
Yeah, my God, yeah. We're all loaded with them too, Leslie.
Mm-hmm.
Well, here's Alan Talbot. Jay Baba.
Jay Baba. Well, Lynn and I were like criminals together. We had so much fun. He was one of my dearest friends in the world. And he and I probably spent about over 1,000 hours together, I would think, and about 8 weeks living together. But the first time I met Lynn and the family was in 1971. Leslie was quite young. And I had dinner there, just the Otts and me. And after dinner, Chris, who was 12 at the time, did a stand-up routine. And I thought, this kid could be a major stand-up comedian. And it's possible he still is, but it's more limited in his scope than the entire world. So that was the trigger for my becoming good friends with the Otts. And just because time is of the essence, the next major event was in 1977. I went to India after selling my business, and I was there the whole summer prior to going to law school. And Lynn showed up. He was having, as Leslie talked about, problems with Phyllis. This occurred constantly. And we were at Vilu's, and he was my roommate. So I was with him literally 24 hours a day. And I would tell you that he snores. And we had a lot of fun, and we would go in rickshaws. In those days, we had to take rickshaws. So wherever he was, I had to be with him. So I did learn a bit that summer about a little bit at least about dealing with people who are blind. And we had too much fun. The next thing, that major event that occurred, was I was in the first year of law school in the second term, the most difficult term of all of law school. But of course, I decided I would have a savas with Lynn because I had 5 spare minutes that year. And so I organized this extraordinary event for about 10 days out in the Bay Area. And the way we did it was I got a art exhibit going at the Sufi Center. And we got about 25 Lynn Ott paintings in the Bay Area, and we hung them in the Sufi Center. And in order to finance the trip, I paid for his flight out. He was going to paint a painting. And it's a beautiful painting. It's very formal. Bob is in a brown suit, and it might be in the book that Max was showing. And we had a lottery, and Pascal Kaplan, who's a Sufi, won it. And all the extra money went to Lynn. So it kind of financed, they had no money. It kind of financed him for, a few weeks, few months, whatever it was. And there's a tale to that story. And then he spoke not only at our Northern California group, but at the Sufi meeting. There's about 300 Sufis. And after the meeting, Murshid Adus had all the Sufis line up and say hello to Lynn. It was very sweet. Row by row, I remember this. I stood there next to him, and if I knew the name of the person, I told him. So I told Lynn the name of the person so that the person would feel good, because Lynn was a big star in the Baba world. So if I knew your name, you walked about 20 feet. Sufis are very organized. They line up, and I would say John Smith, and he would say, "Oh, John, nice to see you." And of course, he didn't know who the person was. He was blind, but the person would like exude cheerfulness, knowing that somehow Lynn Ott knew who he or she was. So that was very sweet. And I remember at my house one day, I played for him either Beethoven's 5th or 9th Symphony. And he sat there the entirety of the music and listened. And when it was done, he said, "I haven't heard that in 20 years. I never have time for peace to listen to music." And it was so touching. He was moved. And I was moved that he was moved because he was so sweet. So we got the local newspaper, the Contra Costa, then called the Contra Costa Times, to interview Lynn at the Sufi Center. This poor young woman had no idea what was going on. It was a wild scene. Lynn's talking about Baba, and she's just writing down. And they had a whole big article in the newspaper about the art exhibit. And we had people monitoring the exhibit and all that. In 79, Adi K. Irani came to Myrtle Beach. That's all he was going to go to in the East Coast. So people from the West Coast like me had to come, and you were only allowed to stay on the center a week. So I'm thinking, like, what am I going to do the extra 2 weeks? And just in a pinch of time, the word came from Elizabeth and Kitty. At this point in the proceedings, Lynn and Phyllis had created the separation wall between them. So Lynn had, if you were facing the home, the right side, he had like a little studio apartment, and Phyllis had the rest of the house. And Lynn was living by himself, and I don't even know what the level of problems were. I tried to stay away from that. But Elizabeth and Kitty thought, and I'm quoting here, and this is unbelievable, that I would quote, "It would be good if I stayed with Lynn because I would be a, quote, good influence on him." I don't know how I fooled these two elderly women, but somehow I did. And I stayed with Lynn the other 2 weeks, and we had great times together. We only went out because it was so muggy when Adi spoke, and people would come to the house, the little apartment. I took care of him. I did his wash. I cooked his meals. I made sure he was properly shaved, for Leslie's point. And we just had a great time together. In the scheme of things, I would go to the center, and if Lynn were standing there or talking to other people, I would shush him like that, shush the other people, obviously. And my noting for Lynn that I was at the center, I'd rub his belly. I would take my hands and rub his belly. And the first time I did, he was a little baffled, like, "The heck's going on here?" And I would rub it. He started laughing. He said, "It must be Alan." And it was. So that was my way of telling Lynn I was at Myrtle Beach. I would rub his belly. And then we would spend an entire time together before I was married, of course. After I was married, it was a little more constricted. In the early 80s, after Ivy Deuce died, Jim kind of became the merchant of Sufism. And they decided, for whatever reason, that they would return all these paintings back to Lynn. So Chris Ott was living in San Francisco at the time. So Chris and I went around the entire Bay Area and picked up about 25 paintings, which really helped Lynn financially, including the painting that Pascal Kaplan had won in the lottery. So it was a double victory for Lynn. And this kept, I used to tease Lynn, I would try and figure out how much longer he could possibly live given his financial situation. And he would laugh. I said, you got another 6 months, 3 days to go, man. But this was a real blessing for him. You know, he did 500 paintings of Baba. And I bought 2 of those paintings, which are still in my bedroom. And I paid a fair price, whatever Lynn said. You know, he was incredible at bargaining. People would come over to his house and offer him money, and he would negotiate himself down. I've seen that. I had to like badger him. I'd take him to the other room and put tape over his mouth almost to keep him from talking. Somebody would say, I'll give you 1,500. He's, I can't take more than 1,000. Then that kind of killed the deal. So I'd have to go back to the buyer and talk them up from Lynn's 1,000, try and get him back to 1,500 or more. It was very humorous. I want to talk about something that's very painful. You know, Lynn and I were terribly good friends. As I say, we lived together for weeks. I don't know if I wasn't the first non-aunt to live at the house. Maybe Leslie would know better, but that was my understanding. I met his mom. She moved down there, as I recall, or stayed down there. She would come over and pick up his wash to do it. He was such a wonderful person. We had so much fun. It was almost criminal how much fun we had. The last time I talked to Lynn was in February of 1998. My wife had some serious illness and she wanted to go to Myrtle Beach, and we went. It was torrentially raining, and we were in the farm shed. And I went over to the original kitchen. It was like an elephant ring, humongous. I was the only one there. And he used that phone, and he was in this facility in Conway. And somehow I got him. It was like 7:30 in the evening. He started crying. He said, Alan, take me out of here. He was in for that illness, hydrocephalus, that Leslie talked about. Well, there was a number of problems with that. Number one, I didn't even know how to get to Conway. And I couldn't drive to Conway, even if I knew how to get to Conway. It was torrentially raining, and I wasn't a family member. It was 7 o'clock at night. You know, none of the logic was possible. He hated the place. And he begged me, and I kept saying no, and it broke my heart. And I was...
Can I just interrupt for a minute? He was only there for a short time. It was a convalescent place, and he needed to be there. I'm actually the one that took him there because my parents were separated, and when Judy took him back, only wanted him to be at the house. So because my mother wouldn't let her stay there unless he was there. And then Judy left him alone, and that's pretty much, I don't mean to like air my family, but it's like he needed to have someone there 24/7 because he had had brain surgery. And when I was there for the 9-hour brain operation in Charleston, and the doctor, the neurosurgeon, who was East Indian, by the way, and when he came out, he said, this probably happened because of a hit on the head. So she had left him alone in the house, and he banged his head. So basically, nobody was trying, like, he wasn't there, like, nobody was trying to be mean. I was there every day, and I know he didn't like it there, but my mother does the same thing. You know, it's not like a happy situation. And the other thing is that you're not the first person that ever lived at our house. Like Bob Brown lived with us, Val Bernabo lived with us. But I mean, that was a person, you're kind of focusing on Lynn and Phyllis's separation a lot. And I kind of would hope that we can maybe see the love that there was between my parents, because they might not have been able to totally stay together, but they were married for 30 years. And I had two kids that grew up, they sent to college. And then he had two stepdaughters. And that's more, I've been married and had children, and that's way more than I've ever had. I mean, I had the most I was ever married was 12 years. And I just have to like take my hat off to both of them, because for in this day and age, for any couple to stay together and for their kids to grow up, go to college, my parents came together to the hospital both times my children were born. When Teddy was born, I had a very difficult labor, and my parents used to have a tea every Saturday or Thursday, and they would get back together sometimes and break up. They just had problems. And Kitty Davy came over to our house, and told my parents she took over the tea, and she told my parents to get to the hospital because I was in labor, in a terrible, like 30-hour labor, very traumatic birth and everything. And then when David was born 6 years later, they also they were together then too. It was right after Hurricane Hugo, because they had reunited, and they were actually together in 1989. And they came to the hospital to see David. And I remember they were hanging out my husband and I had a condo in North Myrtle Beach, and they came over to our condo because they didn't have running water or anything. But they were like totally together. And then Phyllis went to India, and I think their marriage went apart for good while Phyllis was gone. But I'm sorry, like I interrupted you. I just didn't like where it was going. It wasn't like really fair without the whole picture, because you're not really knowing the whole picture.
Anyway, I wasn't trying to not know the whole picture. I have my own experiences. I'm just sharing them. I had different relationships with your mom and your dad, and try to be discreet here. All I can say is that that phone call was the last time I talked to Lynn, and it broke my heart to hear him like that, because I loved him so much. We loved each other so much. He was a wonderful soul, and he made a significant difference in my life personally. And I think of him all the time. I think of him with the greatest love and respect. And I want to say that he was, of all my friends, not among your close ones, so to speak, but all of my dear friends, he was the most spiritually minded person I've ever met, perhaps in my life. We talked about everything at all times, and it greatly changed my life. And I just want to say how much I love him. And I have 4 of his paintings. I think of him all day because I see them.
That's wonderful, Alan. Thank you so much. Yeah, I think we all get the love that you have for Lynn. We're so grateful. Thank you for sharing it. And Tina, good morning.
Hi.
Hey,
Some of
Baba.
you might have heard this story, but it was in the 80s. I was married. I was trying to get pregnant. I was having a lot of trouble getting pregnant, and took various fertility drugs and some treatments. Nothing seemed to help. So I said to my husband, let's just go to the center. So we went to the center, and Jane Brown said, "Oh, have you ever met the Odds?" And I was like, "No." And so she said, "Well, you should go over and look. They have some beautiful paintings." So we went over, my husband and I, and Phyllis took us into her studio, and there were a lot of beautiful paintings. Lynn was blind at this time, by the way. And so I was very drawn to this one painting. And I said to Phyllis, how much is that? She said, it's $500. That was a lot of money for me at the time. And you know, they didn't really know me, but I said, I really would like that painting. And could you possibly wrap it up for me? And I'm sorry, Ruth, I haven't seen her. Anyway, so she said, yeah, of course, just send us the money whenever you get it. I mean, we had never met before. So as she was wrapping the painting up, Lynn asked Phyllis, which painting is she buying? And Phyllis said, Baba with Child. And that was the night I got pregnant.
Oh,
Amazing.
Wow.
that's a beautiful story. It's
Yeah.
really sweet.
That is amazing, Tina. Thank you. That's certainly a part of you I've never heard before. Thank you. I think the aughts brought so much to us. And I'm kind of like Leslie. I just really appreciated all the love that they brought as a couple to the community. So thank you so much. $500, and send it when you get it. Yeah. What an amazing man.
Yeah, they let people have like a finance paintings a lot where they only had to pay so much a month or something, but they didn't give refunds.
That's great.
If someone asked for a refund, they'd say, we already ate it.
That's right.
I mean, I went to college on full I was a dependent student because I was still dependent on my parents because I went to college like a year early. They really pushed me and graduated early. And so I went like as a dependent on my parents student, and they had like full financial aid and loans and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And Chris too.
Yeah.
Chris and I both graduated from high school a year early, and we both went straight to college. And Chris got like a 4.0 average, but not to talk about me, but I kind of screwed up in college because I discovered alcohol.
Oh, yes. As many of us did.
But I don't know. Never mind.
Well, Dana Ferry has something to share. Go ahead, Dana.
Oh, well, you brought up paintings, and I remember standing in his studio in 1971, I think it was, and I was looking at all of the paintings, and I thought they're all beautiful, but no one in particular was speaking to me. And then all of a sudden, one of them came alive. I mean, really came alive. Something happened. And Lynn looked at that particular painting and said, I think that painting is for Dana. And he was very pucka about how we exchanged the money. You couldn't have money exchanged on the center, so we had to step off the center property to do the exchange of the money, which was $150 at the time. And I love that painting dearly. But to pick up on the work they did as a couple, what I remember in those early days were these wonderful dinners. There would be maybe 10 of us in the living room together, or 6 or 10 or however many. And Phyllis was incredibly organized. And she'd say, now you cut up the carrots and you make the dressing and you do. She had us all totally organized, and we'd all make the food together and eat it together. And it was the most fantastic communal meal, and you felt so welcome. And then they'd just do nothing but talk about Baba throughout the whole evening. And it was heaven. And it was part of your visit to the center. It was an intrinsic part of visiting the center, was visiting the aughts and partaking of these meals, teas and meals with them. It was just you couldn't come to the center without doing that. It was just always done. And later I had the great pleasure and honor and privilege, whatever you want to say, it was just, and fun of editing, being one of the editors on In Quest of the Face of God, that book that Max or whoever it was that held it up. Great joy. I had been living in California just prior to that. And Alan reminded me about that talk at the Sufi Center that Lynn gave, and I was present for that. And it was a thrill. I was living in California. And then when Lynn came to California and talked at the Sufi Center, it was like all my worlds coming together in one place. It was just fabulous. It was so exciting. But anyway, I moved back to Myrtle Beach and ended up getting involved in the group of people who were helping with that book. And ultimately, and that was a great joy. And actually, Lynn gave me some assignments. I was going to New York. I had family in New York, and he gave me assignments to go to museums in New York and look at particular paintings that were related to particular paintings in the book, which was just a fabulous art history education, really fantastic. And then later, when I was working at Dilruba, when the book first came out, Elizabeth was looking through the book. We were looking through it together, and she looked at the painting, which you now know is in the meeting place. And she said, "Oh, I think this painting is very good. Call up Lynn and tell him and ask him if he'd like to give that to the center," which she did, and he did. So those are my stories that I can think of for now, but just so many wonderful memories, wonderful, wonderful memories.
Thanks, Dana. That reminds me that, yeah, he did used to give assignments, like when I went to India by myself in 96, the only time I ever went completely alone. And he gave me $20 and he said to use it to buy flowers for the tomb, which I did. Spent the whole 20, not at once, of course, but then, and he gave me a poem he'd written, typed out, and he said, "Read this in Mondley Hall with Erich there. I want Erich to be there." And I did that. He would give assignments like that.
There, Ruth, very quickly, there in the acknowledgments of In Quest of the Face of God, one of them, quite a few people who are mentioned, it says, "To Dana Ferry, whose smiling qualities of understanding and enthusiasm made the final editing of the text a real joy." So Dana was telling the truth.
That was very sweet. But as you note, there's a list of quite a few people there.
Yeah.
All of his friends at the time are listed there. But it really was a joy. He was just such terrific company. I mean, that's an cosmic understatement.
Yeah, that's true.
The opportunity to talk about him and share about him, Leslie and Ruthie.
Yeah, I remember coming in Saturday. It was Saturdays for the teas, and coming in Saturday. Well, we couldn't wait till the time. I forget what time the tea started, but we could hardly wait for the beginning. We could get over to the aught. Sometimes we'd sneak early, but Lynn would kind of be in the living room, and that's where he would be talking about Baba. And these guys would be sitting around and asking all these cosmic questions, and Lynn would kind of, think about it and then hold forth and explain things to everybody, which most of them were kind of above me. They were just, I couldn't grasp really what they were talking about. So that's when I would head to the kitchen and hang out with Phyllis, who was getting things ready. And that was another experience. But Lynn was just so amazing. Dana, thank you very much. Diana, Jai Baba.
Thank you. Thank you, Leslie, for this lovely sharing about your father, Lynn. I'm so interested in what you were saying about obviously he had huge talent, and of the work that he had done before he was painting Baba. And you mentioned the Winston Churchill drawing. Is there any place where his early work, pre-Baba, before he painted Mayor Baba, where that work has been shown or can be seen? I'm very interested about
I have, I'll show one right here. I mean, I have two sets, but I'll go get one. Right.
Oh, lovely.
Here we go.
Well, wait a minute. Can you see?
Oh my goodness, yes.
They look like onions.
I think they're apples. It's a set. There's two. They go together.
Wow, beautiful. God, what beautiful colors.
And I'll get another.
Okay. I know we should all run and get our Linot paintings. I'm trying to find, I have a photo of the one, here we go.
This is a set too. I'm not going to show the other
Oh.
one, but it's pheasants. And then there's the other one is red, has a red background, but
Wow.
Leslie,
yeah.
this is Shelley.
Hi, Shelley.
Hi, I've been watching for a while, and I thought just very quickly I would show your dad's portrait of your mother that I bought from them.
Oh,
Yeah,
great.
please.
Shelley. Oh, isn't that beautiful?
Wait, I can't see it.
See,
Shelley, honey, speak. Shelley, talk so
Shelley,
Yeah, I'm talking. This is, can you see it?
yes, it's gorgeous.
Oh,
Yeah. Isn't that amazing? It's an incredible painting. It's like a
Yeah.
Rembrandt or something.
It is.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
It's really beautiful. Leslie should really have it, but I'm too selfish.
No, Shelley, you should have it. You know, Shelley is my best friend, and she and I have been friends since we were 5 years old. She was, I saw her first time in Chapel Hill, and I thought there's someone my age. We were at some event, and then she came to my house with her parents, and I just took her straight to my room, you know, like kids do. And we've been friends ever since. We're still friends. We're still
Yes.
playmates.
Yes.
It's amazing. Proof that I can have a lasting relationship with somebody.
oh, Leslie, I love you. You are too much.
But
Oh.
Shelley spent a lot of time at our house growing up. You're probably wondering where Chris is. He wasn't feeling well, so.
No, that's fine. Yeah, my experience of Lynn was as a child, and he was just a wonderful, very funny man at the dinner table. That's my biggest memory is his humor, and chasing me out of his studio when he was concentrating.
Well, those are two good ones right there.
Yeah.
He used to put on these white dress shirts like he was going to the office and then go paint. And then he'd get paint on his shirt, and then he would go, "Oh my God." It was like, well, his father was a businessman, so I think it was like the part of him that wanted to be a businessman. It's like to dress like the office to go paint.
It was something at the time as well. Men, you know, those white shirts.
Well,
I thank you for bringing that up. That's how I see him, as in a white shirt, kind of.
yeah, he never had a pair of blue jeans.
No.
I think he might have had a pair of shorts once, but I never saw him in shorts. He just wore those men's slacks and button-down shirts. He never wore a t-shirt he wore undershirts, you know, but he
Right.
never wore
Yeah,
like
he had a
t-shirt,
flannel
you know,
shirt.
or button-down shirts with collars and
Yep.
men's shoes and sometimes sandals or sneakers. When he got older, he did wear, like, you know, old people always wear sneakers. He wasn't that old. He was 71 when he passed away, but in those closer to his passing away, he started wearing like, uh, like earth tone kind of sneakers.
Yeah.
I know
Well,
we're not showing our Linot paintings. It would take
yes,
many,
we,
many hours.
yes,
But
we can. Yes,
I
we
want
can.
to, okay, I want to show one more, and it's not a
Yeah.
Linot painting, but it's a painting that Phyllis did of Lynn and Phyllis's meeting with Baba, and she started it in 64 and ended it in 86. And this is the painting.
Oh, that is
yeah.
so beautiful.
You have to speak again, Shelley, so we can see.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so that's the painting that took her so many decades to where she was working on, and shows Phyllis and Lynn at their first meeting, I guess in 64, maybe earlier.
64 would
with
be when they saw him, when the
Baba.
only time that he only really got to see Baba one time in 64, and she got to 2 times. So that was 64.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, their faces, they look so happy in that
Yeah.
painting. It really comes out. The joy that I remember the both of them. That's how I remember them, with that joy.
And look at Baba's hand. It's like got a halo around it, kind of blessing them,
Oh my
almost.
God. Yes.
Yeah. I'm not a great videographer, obviously, but I'm trying to, there is some light here. Anyway.
Beautiful.
We can
Oh,
see it.
Shelley, thank you.
Thank
Sure.
you.
Well, we've got a line up here. I see Rainey. Rainey, are you there, dear?
I am. The sleeping person is barely up.
Oh, good morning.
Good morning. Bill, could you go get the blue off the top of my room, the blue mic? As you can see, I am surrounded by the yachts on a daily basis. And behind me, we have a Phyllis. It's a huge painting. It's called I Gave You All I Had to Give a Love That Never Dies. And Bill's just getting the blue mic and setting it up. It's hard to hear me, I think. Thank you. But just before he does, I'll move the computer to show you my Linot. I hope you can see it here. Jeepers. No, that's not good, is it?
No, it's kind of, oh, there we go. It's
There you
kind
go.
of
How's
dark,
that?
but- oh, that's beautiful. Wow.
He looks at you wherever you go, and it's all this rare tourmaline pink in behind it. It's an intangible pink, and it's signed twice. It's signed up there on the right in the middle, and it's signed down the bottom near that vase as well, which always intrigued me that it was signed twice. It's quite large too, and but anyway, Baba's eyes follow you wherever you go with this painting.
That is so
Aluminium
beautiful.
art. There's no date, and then back here are the
We lost your,
That's lovely. I can see it.
yeah. Just lost the audio.
I know. Hang on while I.
There
Oh,
you are. Okay.
I'll just plug in my Sputnik, and you'll be able to hear me better. How's that? Is that better?
Yeah, that's great, Rainey.
Is that better sound? Yes. And so then the little teeny one there, I actually bought that in the 90s when we went to Myrtle Beach. She took us to lunch, or we took her to lunch. Oh no, she had an exhibition. She had an exhibition in Myrtle Beach, and this mirror was for sale, and you can just faintly see Phyllis in the background gazing at her. And then of course the big one is put here as my backdrop for my concerts, I gave you all I had to give, a love that never dies. And in this, Barbara's hair is the accurate color that Mira would explain, slightly hennaed auburn hair, long hair. It's superb. When we took Franny to Myrtle Beach, she was 7 weeks old, and she was allowed to sleep on Barbara's bed. And Jack had known Phyllis and Lynn very well, Jack Mormon, Franny's father. And so they asked us to dinner, and they were just so loving with Franny. And then many, many years later, when Lynn came out here to give a talk at our center and at the Talbots, he wouldn't sit anywhere else. He had to sit near Franny, and I wished I'd had the time to dig them out. I have all these photographs of big Lynn, and little Franny was about, I don't know, this high. Little Franny, very, very sweet and loving. Thank you, Leslie.
Thank you, Rainey. Marta from Santa Barbara asked me to reminded me about to mention the murals at the old PC in India. Well, Lynn and Phyllis did those, and he's kind of somebody I just met said, like, your father is Lynn Ott, and she wasn't even a Baba person, but she had been to the, what people would call the Mayor Baba ashram or whatever. And I remember when they were doing those, James Cox actually was the financial person behind it, and the whole family worked on those. Chris did a lot of, I did some work on those murals. I can't remember what they had me do, but I know I painted something. He let me paint on some other paintings. I've seen even in his book, In the Quest of God, I'm not trying to blow my own horn or make it about me, but maybe I am, I don't know. Like there are a couple paintings where I can see some work that he had me do. I think it's called Moonlight over Srinagar or something. He had me paint the village and the water lily and reflection of it on the water, stuff like that. So kind of like, I guess other artists in history did the same thing. Even ones that were not blind did that.
Yes, you're right. This painting is one of the paintings in the Pilgrim Center. That profile is in one of those paintings at the center. This must have been a preliminary one, or one that they thought we better do this again afterwards. It does definitely feel like a fill in, and that image is in one of those paintings at the Pilgrim Center. Good remembering, Leslie.
And then Mara, they like personally showed the murals to Mara. I don't know if Dad was there or not. I know Chris was involved, went out there to help with that, but Mara would say if Mara said a certain thing needed to be changed, my mother changed it right there, in the Pilgrim Center. But Shelley's little sister, Laura Smith, she tells a story about how she went in the studio when they were doing the murals and got into the paint and put it on the mural and got in trouble. It was good times, and that was actually a good thing for them financially, because they did get paid to do it.
Yeah, they were the epitome of people who lived from their art.
Mm-hmm. Well,
And
yeah.
Well, I mean, in a lot of ways, that seemed to be the life that they led. It was a great lesson for us. And
Yeah, Phyllis did have to get a job sometimes, but
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
a job out in the world, but
yeah,
for the most part, you're right, they did.
those paintings at the Mayo Pilgrim Centre are embedded in our souls. We would go through so much in that dining room, you know, the Love Boat, we used to call it, and see which ones would come in and get crushes and gaze at which painting, you know, it was sort of, they're embedded in people's souls. Or if you needed downtime, you'd sit outside with Komal or something, having tea and gazing at the beautiful ones, the ones on the outside. Oh my gosh, they're just spectacular. Just such incredible paintings at the Mayor Barbara Pilgrim Centre.
Yeah.
To me, they should have been transferred up to the Pilgrim Retreat. They're just stunning. So grateful to have lived with them so much when I was younger.
Yeah,
Thanks,
me too.
Wayne.
Yeah, I took a photograph of every single one. I could go get my photo album right now and show you every single one. I'm so glad I did that. Well, Betty, you have been so patient. Jai Baba.
Jai Baba. I hope if I cut off, it's because I ran out of, I'm at my daughter's house, cat sitting. A few of us from California, kind of group of old friends, Babs Gildersleeve, Charity Cranitz, her husband, me, Dave, and a few of our kids went once to Myrtle Beach. We've been once. And Lynn was just, oh my goodness, we loved Lynn. He couple of things. We brought popcorn. And it turned into popcorn parties at Lynn's. He loved having a group over. He just loved it. And I have to say, I regretted not just inviting everybody I saw, because he was like disappointed when we'd come and it was just us, or just like what? Not, you know what? Where's the action? He was, and one funny thing, one of us, Cherry's husband, Harold, was not a Bible lover. And Lynn was holding forth as he usually did. And he said something about, he said, anybody who's not a Bible lover is a jerk. And so Harold said, yeah, I'm one of those jerks. And it was another thing. Oh, Dave, my husband, he decided to go into Lynn's kitchen and mess things up, move things. Glenn was totally blind at that time. And it was his joke. Oh, he called him Lantern Lynn because he loved how he just glowed. And Lynn Lynn, as I remember, was fine with it. He got it. And another thing, Lynn would take. Dave was supposed to walk with Lynn, you know, to be with him on the paths. But Lynn at night, totally blind, would take Dave around. So I guess that's, you know, it was our little time with Lynn. We loved Lynn and we loved having our popcorn time with him. That's all. Oops. Jai Baba.
Baba.
Thanks, Betty. He was, when he was younger, he was very sure-footed. Every summer we used to go to the mountains of North Carolina or, you know, Virginia, the Smokies, and the Blue Ridge Parkway, and really rough it. But he was really good on walking on, you know, like mountain, like, you know. But then when he went totally blind, he just couldn't do it anymore. It's like we'd get disoriented, you know, then it became difficult. But he used to actually like walk me home from the center, you know, when he was totally blind, because he said he could. And I tell you, aren't you scared of the snakes, you know, walking, you know, you can't see. And he goes, no, when the snakes see me coming, they just look out.
That's wonderful. Max?
Yeah, I have one more quick one, because when somebody was talking about the guys sitting around the living room and how Lynn loved to talk. He loved to talk about God speaks and everything. And I want to, before I tell this story, I want to make it a point that he had a very profound mind. Wayne just posted a link to an essay of his in The Awakener, and it's one of the most beautiful pieces of writing I've ever read. So I'm not making light of Lynn's mind, but one time I quoted back to him something he had said. I don't remember what it was. It was like about the end of the world or something. I can't remember. And he looked at me and he said, "Did I say that? Well, if I said that, I would say anything." I just wanted to give that as his sense of humor, taking himself lightly and all that. Thank you.
That's great. That's great. Well, and it's true. In those days, we would say, blah, 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 blah. Lynn Ott said, blah, 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 because I don't know. It's like, you'd go to tea and there'd Lynn be, and he'd be sharing all these amazing things and things you've never heard before. And there'd be dialogue. And it was just so beautiful to have that opportunity to actually converse, to sit down and converse with someone who had met Meher Baba and who had done such intensive reading and had such a deep understanding. It was just such a gift to be able to do that. There was nowhere else to go to do that. It was at the Ott's house. It was family. For me, that was my family. That's where I came into the Baba family, was because of the love of Lynn and Phyllis, Leslie, Chris, accepting us into their home and feeding us and teaching us. So I'm so grateful. My heart's just full. Al, I don't know if Al's trying to share. We're in his car, so there's something going on. He's going somewhere. Al, do you want to say something?
I'm driving, and the phone, if I touch it, will hit the share button. But I'm not raising my hand. I'm lowering my hand because I'm driving. But thank you anyway.
All right, sweetheart.
I did want to say I think Leslie did a good job.
Thanks.
That effect, but I think it worked out just wonderfully.
I know.
J Bob, everyone.
J Bob, Al, be safe out there.
I will.
Yeah, not a good time to share. Well, I'm just seeing, is there anybody else that has something they'd like to bring forward about our lovely Lynn?
Can Max show that painting that he showed that Leslie helped with from the book?
I wonder which one that is.
Yeah, that's it.
I have to unmute and talk. It's Moon over Srinagar. So the village that Leslie painted on is down there.
Ooh.
Yeah. That painting was used on my CD that I don't like.
I loved.
Yeah, it's a great one. Good work, Leslie, on the painting.
Well, he told me how to do it, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
I always, even when I was like, before we even moved here in Woodstock, I was 4 when we moved here, but I remember when I was like 3 years old, sitting on the floor in his studio drawing while he was painting.
Okay.
So beautiful.
Thank you, Max. Thank you, Leslie.
I have a few things online I could share. I'll just bring them up and we can go through them quickly. And Leslie, if you have any comment, that would be great.
And I have one other little thing I want to share too.
Okay.
I can do it afterward.
Well, I'll do yeah, cool. I just thought I would do this kind of quickly, see if I can bring some of these up. Let me see. Is there a way to actually?
Ruth, please don't go too fast.
Okay, sweet, I won't. I'm trying to see, is there a good way to get a full screen? So give me a second. Well, that didn't work. Okay. Yeah, let's see. So you can see them over on the right, and I think that's as big as I'm going to be able to get things right now.
Ruthie VJ has his hand up as well.
Thanks,
Oh.
honey. All right, just give me a second to show maybe just a few more. For us painters, it's just it's so delicious. What a painter. Look at those eyes. Baba's hands. And the colors, my God. And I think this last one is a picture of Lynn, but it's harder to kind of see because it's so small, but there he is, sitting in the midst of all this beauty that he creates. Okay.
Ruth, there's a story. I'd like to share this because it's important about Lynn's work. The story about why he started painting only Baba. When Leslie told the part in India where he asked Baba, if I make beautiful paintings, isn't it just a lot of ego? And Baba had said, nothing you do for the beloved is ego. And it's in the book. He tells the story when he was back in his studio in America, and he was painting, and he just thought to himself one day, of what I'm doing, what is for the beloved and what is for myself? I don't know. So he decided from that point on, he would just paint Baba into every painting.
And the roses, beautiful flowers with Baba's paintings. Yeah. All right, I'll stop in a minute.
These are pretty much all owned by people.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't really have hardly any paintings anymore.
Wow. Well, I wasn't aware that somebody quoted 500 paintings, Leslie. I wasn't aware your dad had painted 500 paintings of Baba.
At least.
At least, yeah. Oh, I know. There was one beautiful one of Baba pulling a curtain aside, holding a torch, and coming in to like wherever, the painting was just of Baba pulling a torch, just pulling a curtain, holding a torch, and then there was his face. And that was it. I've always wanted that. I don't know where your mom knows where it went, but anyway, I'm sorry. VJ, thank you for your patience.
I finally got a light on that painting. If people don't, I'll leave it up, the light. You can see it a little more clearly. Sorry about this. Go ahead.
Yeah, that is better.
Yeah.
So amazing. How did he get those colors to come out like that? Wow, that's a painter.
Yeah, the thing is with this painting, I'm a gemologist, so this color, this tourmaline color, I don't know that anyone ever got this color ever before. This tourmaline, it's just so exquisite. And every now and again, you'll see in the garland there, he's repeated it. He's mixed it, and I think he's happy and he's repeated it. And then he's made then the coat sort of slightly more orange than pink. So as that leaps out, and the eyes are just, they follow you everywhere. They're breathtaking.
A common art paint color is burnt sienna.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Yes, the jacket looks like it's that. I don't know why. As soon as I pull it closer, Barbara's being mischievous there.
Yes.
Because I've got a direct light on it, and the minute I put it down, he's bright again. Naughty.
I Oh, what is
And then I'll
that?
pick it up, look at that, and he'll hide again.
Yeah.
And then I'll put it down and he stop it. Stop it, Avatar.
Thanks, Rini. Go ahead, VJ. Sorry. Thank you for your patience. You there, VJ?
Yeah,
Jay
Jai
Baba.
Baba. Yeah. Well, Lynott was my favorite Baba star, and I met him in 1978, first time when I stayed on the center in for around 50 days. And we used to visit his house occasionally. And whenever I touched his shoulder, and he used to recognize me, Vijay. He should tell Vijay, and so he could feel the touch. And once I traveled with him to Atlanta, Waco camp. Casey Cook was there in the car. Win Coates, Lynott, and one more guy, five of us. And on the way to Atlanta, I think the driver lost the direction. He was going into other direction. And then Lynott could feel with the sunlight, he was something calculating with his fingers. And then he says, oh, we are going wrong direction. And then we checked out and we found that, oh, we were going somewhere else. And then again we corrected. So that was his sensing. And definitely his painting were so special that you can just distinguish. You can say, oh, this is Lynott. And you can feel that love and divinity flowing out of the painting. So I feel very much fortunate to have met such a great person, Baba Lover, and my salutations to him. And thank you, Leslie, for telling all these details. I known Leslie since I long, so it's wonderful to hear Leslie also.
Thank
And Jai Baba, Jai Baba, thank you.
you.
That's beautiful. You really hit the nail on the head, VJ.
Thank you.
Yes, Baba's divinity. He did. He just brought it in so many different facets, like a diamond.
Oh,
You know, his paintings were like a facet from a diamond.
yeah. And it makes you happy also once you see his, and you are happy to see his paintings. So that a kind of joy you could sense from the paintings. Yeah.
Well, Lynn was the person who kept after me as a young girl to go to India.
Oh,
And I know that if it wasn't for Lynott, I would have never gone. But he was the one that I would arrive and he'd say again, you know, are you making your plans? And since I was diabetic, you know, well, let me get a hold of Dr. Ahrens. Maybe Dr. Ahrens will fly over with you. Let me, yeah, let me get his, you can write to him. He, you know, your father was so wonderful. So that's how I got to India, really, because of Lynott's prodding me. Just, you know, really, thank you, Lynn. Alan? Oh, I'm sorry, Leslie, go ahead.
One time when I was little, my parents had to go out, but they were expecting company, I mean, from the center. And so I was told that I was supposed to greet them and talk to them until they get back. And I asked him, I said, well, what am I supposed to say? And he said, ask them if they'd been to India. So I guess I just said, have you been to India? I mean, I didn't know what to say to these people, but yeah, I totally hear you.
Yeah. Well, had they been to India?
I don't remember.
Yeah. Yeah, he wanted us to be able to go. Alan, did you want to share?
Just one detail, if I could.
Yeah.
I had excuse me, a fairly large scale natural food store in the 70s in Berkeley. And at a point, I got a very large painting, which I still have by Lynn. And the ceilings were 16 or 18 feet high. So we put it on the back wall. I guess it's about maybe 5 feet and 4 feet or something like. Anyway, it was a large painting, quite beautiful. We put it on the back wall. We had about 700,000 customers over the 7 years, and so it's fair to say that amongst the other things that we produced a Baba, every person that would walk in the store, naturally you'd walk in, it was in the back walls, it was about 50 feet away. You could hardly miss it. So I presume somewhere around, I obviously realize that many of these are the same people over and over again, but hundreds of thousands of people saw that picture of Baba that Lynn had painted. And it always produced questions, who is this guy? That kind of question. So that was a tremendous effect on the walk-in public, you might say.
Beautiful. Beautiful, Alan. Thank you. I got the visual just from your description. I can just see it. Oh, wonderful. Mihal.
Good morning. No, good afternoon. What
Good
time is
afternoon.
it? What time is it?
Who knows?
Yeah, noontime, huh? And here it's night almost. So, yeah, I met, first of all, I want to say that I was very moved by you, Leslie, by what you shared. And you're so beautiful and you're shining through in your window. And you were singing, you're such a good singer, and you were singing from your heart, and it was so strong, and you have this most beautiful voice. And it was very surprising for me to be in this program and hear the story of the man, the man behind what the family story, and the children's story, and all the problems that they went through, because he was such a great lover of Baba, and Baba told him at that time, you are going to see me as I really am. So that is a very, very special blessing from Baba. And not everyone got that kind of a blessing directly from Baba. And so from that alone, I know that he was a very, very, very precious soul. So when you tell this story, it's the story of the man and the family and the children. And it's so moving, it's so touching, it's so precious. So thank you for sharing that, Leslie. And really, really from the heart. And I can see how Baba has been taking care of you, because you are so true to yourself.
Thank you.
And it is very moving just to see how uncomplicated, how you're so you're not a simple person, but it's, you have this very, very pure being, and Baba is really taking care of you. However it would seem, because from your story, how he took care of his great lovers, both your mother and your father, that would be really, not easy to see when you tell that story. I was once in Myrtle Beach, only once, in '91, and I got the chance to meet your father and your mother, but I met your mother in India, and she was very moved by the fact that I'm from Israel, and we had some deep connection over that. And she is quite a woman, very much a strong brave person, and I was very moved by her womanhood. And when I met your father, he was walking, and I was walking towards him, and he enveloped me in his hug, and it was like being in a cloud. It was like being in a cloud, and this person, this person, he had something about him, about his aura, about his being, his whole being. That was something quite different and quite something else completely. And it was very special to meet him. And I remember one day there was in the old kitchen, there was they had reading of discourses or whatever, I don't know. And I came in and I sat down, and someone said something about me, and so they started talking to me, and I think Lynn was the one who asked. I think they were reading about the circle. I'm not sure. And he asked the question about the circle, and I said, well, whenever someone goes out of the circle, someone goes in. It's like a spiral. Whenever someone goes out of the circle, it's like a play. Whenever someone goes out of the circle, someone comes in because they have to act this part. So when I came to Myrtle Beach, your mother came and took me from the airport. And she also was the one who took me to to Baba's house. And someone is showing a beautiful picture. Louise is showing a beautiful picture. And when I left, your mother gave me two paintings of hers, of Mera. One with Baba and Mera and a baby, and one with just Mera, which is very, very beautiful, and is still in my home, but not here, but in India. And I wanted to say something else. Anyway, you've come from a very, very special family, and your share was all heart and all pure and so beautiful. And I thank you very much. And I'm also thankful for meeting both your mother and your father and having the chance to do so. So thank you, Jay Melvin.
Thank you. I know you from Facebook, but it's
That's right. We're friends on
actually
Facebook.
Seen you face to face.
Yeah, and you're quite a lady. You're quite a lady, and I heard many of your songs, and you write very well, and I enjoyed being with you.
Thank you. I knew you were from Israel. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Michal. That was you just, what can I say? I'll just be quiet. That was beautiful. Jai Baba. And Louise, can you unmute and speak so we can see you on the speaker view and see that painting a little more clearly? Is that possible? You just have to unmute, Louise, and speak.
That's gorgeous, Louise. That's a beautiful painting.
Where is she? Okay. All right. Well,
I can see it. Really
yeah,
good.
I can see the little square. That's, yeah, beautiful, Louise. Thank you.
Unmute, Louise.
I don't know if she can hear to us or
Yeah.
She's choosing not to, so allow her.
That's good. It's, yeah, we get what we get. It was
She's keeping
beautiful.
silence, right?
Yeah. All right. Meher Prasad. Jai Baba.
Jay Baba, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I'm on the phone, so I had a couple of things to share. I was not sure whether to share them or not, but I thought I'll do that anyway. The first thing was I met Lynn Ott in his house on the center in '97, And we went to his house, and he was seated in the I think it was in the front row, and me and my wife, we sat with him, and there was this huge painting that went from the floor all the way to the roof. It was very tall, and it was actually scary to look at because it was fire. It was just a fire. The whole painting was fire. And he said something along the lines of, "My beloved is a giant fire," something like that, but it stuck in my head since that time. It was almost 25 years back in 97. The second thing is, everything Baba did really had meaning beyond a specific time or a person. It had significance beyond a single thing. So the one thing I thought I would share, this is my interpretation, but is that with Lynn Art, he asked whether the shave was close enough, and he asked Baba to feel Baba's shaving itself. And when I shave, I remember that. I think Baba used that to kind of make people remember that incident. So, I feel that Baba did a lot of these things so that we remember certain things from some episodes in his dealings with different people. And this particular connection with Lynart is that shaving part. And it may be a small thing, but a lot of these small things add up throughout the day to remember him more and more. So I thought I would share that. Jai Baba.
Jay Baba.
Thank you.
Well, I see Bobby here. Hi, Bobby. Jay Baba. I just wondered if there was anything you'd like to share. I know you and Lynn were great friends.
Okay, again, just like Meher Prasad, I wasn't sure whether to share this, but after Lynn passed away, it might have been a day or two later, I was on my way to Baba's house, and everything looked radiant. I mean, more radiant than usual. I was just dazzled by the colors that I was seeing and people. And in fact, I remember, what is his name now? Bill Stevens, with his big beard and his hair. I looked at him and went, "Oh my God, Bill, what gorgeous hair you've got." Like, everything I saw was dazzling. And when I got into Baba's room, it just occurred to me that I was, in a way, like feeling what Lynn must have felt after he passed away, and all of a sudden his blindness was gone, his physical blindness, and he could see everything around him. I just feel like I kind of got a sense of what it must feel like to all of a sudden, because he saw that in his heart. He saw beautiful colors and everything, but it was just like this amazing experience.
Oh, thank you. That's just incredible. Yeah. It kind of brings something personal up for me as well when someone passed and the day after, just the intense feeling. Also, I just can't help but think Lynn really, really loved your music. And I think he was always so encouraging about your writing and your singing and your performing. And he was one of your biggest fans. That's my memory. He just had.
That's very touching to hear that. There is I do have one other little story. It was when Lynn was just about finishing up his book about paintings, about his art, putting his paintings. And he said to me, there's just one painting left. I don't know who owns it.
I don't know, I haven't figured that out and I don't know what to do. And then he described it and I said, I own that one. It was like, what? I own it. And so that was like solved the mystery of, because when I bought it, see what happened was that I felt like I really wanted a Lynn Ott painting so much. I went one time and I went to the house and nothing really somehow struck me. So, a few years later, I was over there and he wasn't there. He was away learning at the School for the Blind in Columbia. And so I bought the painting through Phyllis. What happened is I saw this painting on the floor. It was just sitting there and I went, it was kind of like fell in love, like, woof, so I ended up buying it. And anyway, so he didn't know, because they were kind of separated at the time and he didn't really know specifically about that particular painting. So I actually bought it and he didn't, and then later on, of course, it ended up in the book and I could show it to you if you want me to.
I'd love that.
It's very different. And I think I related to it because that's the way my hair was at the time. It's kind of an intense painting, his hair.
Yeah.
And I thought, that I kind of related to it. But let's see. And I believe that he called the painting Undoubtedly I Am Love, or Undoubtedly I Am God. I think one of those two.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, I'll show. See if you can see it.
Ooh.
See that? I used to have hair.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, it's quite.
Oh.
Yeah, that's a really beautiful one.
Yeah, feel very, very, very fortunate to have this painting in my home. It's just, he was a master, and it's an honor to have this painting.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks, Bobby.
Oh, you're welcome.
We're kind of getting close to 1. I don't know if anybody's getting tired or anything.
There's just one more person with a comment, if that would be okay. And then if you want to finish up, that'd be great.
Okay.
Okay. Go ahead, Mihal.
Yes, I remembered what I wanted to say and I forgot. The paintings in the PC, and I was so many times in the PC, and these paintings are so great. They're so great, and I used to sit and just get so much from them, the stories of Baba, and I used to look and look and look. And there's one special one, two actually special ones that I really, really like. They're inside the dining hall where Baba is spread out on a kind of mattress, and there's the tiger next to him and Mara next to him. And on the other side, there's Baba on a hill with a lion and 2 children. And I think that one of the paintings that someone was showing here with Phyllis and Lynn bowing down to Baba, right on the opposite wall, there's a big picture of Baba in darshan. And this painting that was shown here reminded me of that painting, and maybe it was a study for that painting. They're so beautiful, and I can never take my eyes off them. I can never have enough of them. They're really, really very, very beautiful paintings. And so I just wanted to share that as well. Thank you for that.
I did find a picture of Daddy Jack's Lynn Ott called Listen. And it's huge.
Yes.
And that's over at Point Richmond at Franny's other house. And we have this one with the 2 signatures at this house. But this painting is huge. It's the most transporting, exotic painting. It's easily
kind of the size of I Gave You All I Had to Give, a Love That Never Dies, and like nearly 3 times the size of the portrait on the right. And Barbara's dreaming, but in actual fact, the photograph, Mara said, Barbara's saying, listen, but this is called The Dreamer of the Dream. This,
Yeah, it just faded. Oh, there it is.
There it is, The Dreamer of the Dream, Lynn called it. And Mara said, Barbara's saying, listen. This is off my cell phone. It's actually much more subtle.
Oh, that's gorgeous. Just gorgeous.
That's on mayorbarbaratravels.com/Lynott. There are a lot of beautiful paintings on the Tony Zoyce's amazing website.
Yes. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Rainey. My favorite Hafiz interpreter is Thomas Rain Crow, and he was one of the editors on my father's autobiography, which some of is published in the Globe. But anyway, this is Thomas Rain Crow's book, and the painting is a Lynott painting. It's called Water on the Moon, and that's the title poem from his book. And Thomas Rain Crow is Native American, and he's my favorite. They had a big show of with different Hafiz interpreters, Ladinsky, who's very famous, and some other really hot shots from New York. But I love this guy. He's real, down to earth. You know what I mean? Nothing against anybody else. It's just I personally like his stuff. But anyway, I just would like to read the title poem. It's called Water from the Moon, and it says for Lynott. And I'm just going to read it. Like the fire that speaks from a tree, only he who has met God may walk through this life with the eyes of a saint. Why do we wait till the wind has died and the storm has passed on to speak the truth? Surely something more than a piece of wood will from the history of war bring peace. Just as the ferns near the quiet water unwind toward the warm sun of spring, the sky opens its veins to the mountains and bleeds, and all that is living is nourished in the bath of blood. What we know is only the mirror in still water, or what we will never see. Our lives, a kind of death that threatens the wires that now carry our light with the darkness that comes from machines. Yes, only a single word from the tree will bring water from the moon, speech from a rock, and the man who knows everything in the nothing of the mind will for no reason known see God. I just want to thank everybody for coming. This has been really beautiful and really warms my heart. And I'm so glad that his memory, my father Lynott's memory, is so dear to all of you. And I love you all. So thank you.
To you, Leslie J. Baba.
You warm our hearts, Leslie. How about if we just have a moment of silence together?
Namaste.
Namaste.
Namaste, Jai Baba.
Yeah, Baba, that was beautiful.
Much love.
Sorry I came late. I sleep in.
J.
Much love to you, Leslie.
Thank you, Leslie.
Thank you, Leslie. And you too. Thank you, Ruth.
Thank
Jai
you.
Baba.
Thank you,
See
Leslie.
you all soon.
Yeah, I look forward to it, Leslie. More music, please.
Sure. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, listen, how about a concert, Leslie?
Oh,
Yes,
I
yes.
don't know.
No, I mean, you could have like a couple of months to get ready.
We'll see.
Oh, good. Okay.
oh,
I'll take that.
please do. You're singing so well.
You see what I mean?
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely. I'd love to hear it. Thank you, Leslie. Rainy Auntie's the music teacher. We need to hear everyone's music. Baba gives us a voice so he can hear himself in each one of us.
Somebody just wrote, remember Lynn's laugh.
I was thinking of Chris that because he opened the circle place and then Angela got to be there, then we have the Zoom and now we are all here, you know?
Well, Chris will be hosting the live one at the Circle Center. So that I assume it will be on Zoom or videotaped too.
Yeah.
And so, I think
So we'll get a double dose.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember that your son is also singing so well.
Oh, David, he's phenomenal. He makes me look, he's like, I don't know if I was saying this before the meeting, but I would write songs in my room, you know, when he was still living at home, and he would hear me and he would go, oh my God, because I would be like, I'd be writing a song and it'd be like, 7 children died at school. You know, it's like singing like about, you know, social statements and tragedy and stuff. It's like even though I'm too young to be like a 60s person, I'm influenced by you all that like,
yeah.
No, I have my own beliefs, but I tend to write songs about you know, like Black Lives Matter and, you know, school shootings and things, you know, things that
right.
I don't know.
Are important.
Things that hurt the heart and are in the midst of our life.
But my son's like always thinks my music is so depressing because of, you know, that, not all of it, but we did a concert together at Sherry R Books and we were practicing and I was going to do that one that I wrote about my father, but he was like, do not sing, because he just thought it was just too sad or something. But, you know, life is kind of tragic.
Yeah.
You know, happy and tragic, and so anyway, and
life is it just blew up, you know, with this pandemic and then missiles and then, you know, it is Baba came into this world because it is, and he came to help because it is.
And it's just the beginning. It's just the beginning. We have to get used to just whatever he brings up next. We have to get used to it, and much more quickly.
And he is helping. He is helping. It's horrid sometimes. It is horrid.
He's helping so we can be one with him more quickly.
Yes, Jai Baba.
As difficult as it seems.
We are of this age. We can take the wings and fly. No.
I got to the point where I was saying, Baba said, be happy in my love. He didn't say be happy when you go shopping or be happy with your job or your
yeah. Yeah. And he makes sure that we are happy. Look, we're smiling, you know.
In his
said, don't worry, be
What I
happy.
do when I feel bummed out is I make a gratitude list in my mind, you know, things I'm grateful for, you know, like I didn't get COVID or roof over my head, food to eat, you know. But I feel like we're coming to the light at the end of the tunnel with COVID.
Yeah.
I've started to meet with people without masks. I'm still a little too neurotic to not wear my mask because it's become a part of me, but I'm starting to get like contact dermatitis on my face, I think, from wearing a mask, like itchy, dry spots. And
yeah.
But it's you know, we have, there's always going to be problems in the world, but I don't know why
There
I tend
always
to
were.
focus on sometimes, but I have
Can
this,
I?
always have this wish that people could just love each other, you know, and that the violence and things like that could stop.
My mask has become a godsend because I'm losing all my pigment. And so having the mask, you know, like Barbara had solar sneezing because Barbara had red pigment too. My mask is sort of stopping thousands of solar allergies and allergies I have due to my skin conditions. And I'm really reluctant to give up my mask, and I love them all. I've gone to so much trouble to get such fun and cute masks and naughty masks and wicked masks and Star Wars masks, and I'm really reluctant to give them up. And plus, when you walk near the bay, it keeps your nose warm, and I'm into my masks. You know, Leslie, I don't know. I think I would still carry one in case, or someone awful is coming towards you. You know, you're not going to be able to smile. You just put your mask on and just brighten your eyes, and you think, no, I'm into the mask. I can see why former generations failed or averted or whatever, because there's too many people, there's too much stuff. With Franny, I really know with no immune system how much danger we've been in. So, oh no, I love my masks.
Well, they don't make me wear my mask to visit my mother because we're vaccinated, but like when I'm walking in the nursing home, they make me wear my mask because, you know, some people are not vaccinated there.
Right. Well, even vaccinated though, we can still. My neighbor's vaccinated with Pfizer double, and he came home positive 2 weeks ago. He's asymptomatic, but then apparently we can spread it again. So I'm not going there with the Franny factor under my roof. You know, it's just still too soon. It's too early for me. So don't feel paranoid. I'm really paranoid. I'm the
Please
mother
send, please
our
send your
doctor
mother
in chief
regard.
or whatever in the States. I will. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I just
Warm
did say
regards.
founding told us we can go
Couldn't-
without a mask if we're vaccinated.
Well, Leslie, this is where I do my little painting, and this is my sunroom where I do the Zoom thing.
Yeah.
But what I'm looking at
Okay.
are about, well, I have two pictures here stuck up on the frame of my glass room, and they're your mom. Pictures of your mom sitting next to my husband, who your mother introduced me to. If it wasn't for your mother, I wouldn't
Larry.
have met my husband, right? So anyway, there's a picture of.
She's introduced me to people too, but it never worked out.
Well, yeah, you had some
Okay,
interesting,
go on.
you had some interesting people in your life. That's for sure. You've had a lot
Say
of
the
wonderful-
least.
Yeah.
She's an interesting
No,
person
but
by
the
her own count, you know.
What, Leslie?
Leslie, yes.
No, I
Totally
mean, I
interesting.
interrupted. You were talking about that she introduced you and Larry.
No, it's just that I sit here and I look at your mom every day. I'll be standing up there doing the arti thing in the morning and praying the Gujarati, singing the Gujarati arti or whatever. And I look and there's your mom, you know, smiling back at me from this photograph. So I look at her
Well,
face.
you've always had a connection.
Huh?
Mhm. You've always had a connection with her. I mean, you two even look alike a bit. You remember, like, you look a bit like my mother looked when she was young.
Well, she
You know?
certainly, you know, again, your mom and your dad and you, I mean, imagine that you just let Bob Brown and I come crashing through your window that day. You know,
Yeah, but I was pretty close to him, and I thought you were pretty cool that day. You know, I looked up to all you baby boomers. I'm a little younger. I thought you were so pretty and cool and all that, grown up and all that. So
yeah. Well, thank God, because I think that's what influenced you to pick up the guitar.
mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I tried to get a hold of you. We had a little remembrance of Bob Brown, and I tried to catch up with you to get you to come and sing a song.
It
'Cause-
was just too much on my plate. I've been really busy with my mother. I'm the only family she has here really that's in, that's been involved,
Yeah.
and it's just been a lot on my plate. So,
Well, you were with us in
but
spirit.
this was just meant to be.
Yeah, I'm so glad.
And I keep a low profile, so.
I know, you always keep under the radar. That's always been your MO.
It's better
Thank
that
you,
way.
Leslie. Thank you. Thank you, Ruth.
Anyway,
Bye.
much love. I'm gonna
Jai
go.
Baba.
All right, sweetheart. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye, darling.
Bye-bye.
Hi, Leslie.
Well, thanks so very much, Ruth. It never occurred to me that I could put the computer on this computer table with the Sputnik microphone, and I can. Who was it that had a sliding desk like this? And I can go across the room to the Lynn art or back to the Phyllis art. I had a teacher, a Kadak teacher at one point, and he always wanted to play tabla while he danced, and he put the tablas on a table like this so as he could move about playing the tabla. And here I am now. I've got portable, mobile, Zoom for the Lynn and Phyllis art
You're
painting.
zooming around the room. Yes.
Martha was telling me that painting came up a lot better, the one of the
Jai
double-sided
Baba,
Lynn art.
Bobby. Yeah, it did. It was so nice to see so many paintings today. What a treat.
Gorgeous. Visuals are gorgeous. And in the Baba world, just as Baba enhanced song so much, painting was enhanced so much. And the image of him, I have a friend who does not like to pray to paintings. She only likes to pray to photographs. But sometimes this painting behind me motivates me the most to pray. And mostly because it's got scrawled in graffiti across the bottom, "I gave you all I have to give, a love that never dies," by Phyllis. And sometimes you're just not in the mood, and just reading that, it makes you laugh, and that everybody gets cross. And so this painting behind me does it. But other times I can take the full screen Baba looking into your soul, and how naughty we all are, and so on.
Well, Che Baba, I'm going to go and have a little bite. Telly, it's good to see you. You didn't have much to say. Were you around for some time with Lynn?
Oh yeah. I put up a picture of Lynn of Baba that he did. And so in the early 70s, you come to the center, and going to the Arts House was just a thing you always look forward to. And you're always curious about what picture is on his easel right now. And the picture I have is one that was on his easel. And so I wound up buying it.
Yeah, I didn't see
Kelly? I didn't see it. I got up late. I'm sorry. I'm a late sleeper. Can you show it to us?
Yeah, let's see.
Oh, he's going to screen share.
I don't know. I was going to just put in my thumbnail. Let's see.
Okay.
So I got to do this. Yeah. Save. And then I got to disappear.
Okay.
There it is.
Oh, I did see it. That's so beautiful.
Speak, Telly. I can't see it.
It's on his thumbnail.
Oh, that one. Now, where did I see that before? That's gorgeous.
Yeah, I think of it as the friend.
Yeah, yeah. Baba's the friend.
I can see why. Yeah.
But maybe you bought that in 1971, something like that. It was early on. And he had just finished painting it, I believe.
Wonderful.
Yeah, you were talking about the paintings on the easel, and somebody was talking about walking in and seeing a floor to ceiling painting of Baba. that was the other thing. You'd come into the house and you'd never know where the paintings were going to be. It was like Phyllis was constantly moving paintings around. Do you know what I mean? It just seemed like you'd go there and there'd be like new paintings on the walls. She really used the house like a studio to display. So it was the studio that had all the paintings, and then it was the house that had paintings all over the walls.
Yeah.
Um,
And there was the teas that you described, how they were just wonderful. That
yeah. Oh my God.
Lynn just hold forth, as you said.
Yeah, Lynn would be in the living room. Phyllis would be in the kitchen getting the little cookies together and putting them on the table. And oh my God. And sometimes it would just seem like the table was huge and there were, 50 people or 25 or 30 around this table. And I know they did. I don't remember if they had a table that big, but
I don't think so.
it felt like that,
Remember.
There'd be so many of us there.
Well, there's something to be said about appreciating or criticizing or absorbing your own work to grow. I have a friend, she's a famous textile artist, Katie Pye in Australia, and she would run her hands down the textiles and gaze at things she'd created and pull them out and put them away and so on. So I got into the habit of playing my music to myself in my car to keep it all alive and everything. And it's not an all about me moment, although as our darling Wendy Haynes says, it's all about, of course it's all about me, I'm me, So that gets rid of that phrase. But it means that you're absorbing your art as it was, as it is, as you are today, as you grew through the night, with the beloved. So to change the paintings in the house like Phyllis did. I remember when she sold me this little painting of her in the background. I don't know if you can see it there very well, but I said, is that you in the background? She said, well, yes, of course, I'm always in the background, And that's true. If you're going to go on, Bob Dylan said, if you think you're there, it's all over. You've got to go on appreciating everything else, but also appreciating and criticizing yourself.
Yes.
And, some of us can be a little too self-critical and stymie ourselves, but we still need to do that. And so for her to be putting the paintings out and seeing them in different settings is her growth. It's her going on to the next painting, most likely.
Yes. Well, and that's it. The energy in the house always, for me, the energy in that house always had that feeling of growth going on, of change, of something new. They brought it. I think just that's who Lynn Ott was, and that's who Phyllis is, that continuous growth and change. It was perfect. I couldn't have asked for more in my life to see that in action. That, that's the legacy that for me and all of us, I think, that came from that Ott house. Just that it was like going to a salon. You were going there to learn something new, something that would, crack and make you.
It's catalytical.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the word. Say that again, Tally.
It was catalytical.
There you go.
That's it. Yeah.
You're right. Yeah. There was a lot of sparks flying in the Ott house, and you just plugged into it and felt nourished by it.
Yes.
Did you make that up, Tally? It comes up, but that it's wrong. I put it in anyway, catalytical. Make sure that Leslie gets this chat because it's
okay.
Catalytical. There you go. I mean, after reading rereading The Wayfarers, there are 1,000 new words in my lexicon here. But that's the beauty of English, and I think it's why Baba used it and said he'd be using it, or hinted he'd be using it next time. It's just so flexible and fluid, Franny says disgustipating. There's nothing